All right, so Jenny, today we're tackling something that, well, it trips up a lot of learners, even some intermediate ones.
Oh, for sure. We're talking about three little words that cause a whole lot of confusion: be, been, and been.
Exactly. They all come from the same verb, the verb to be, but they're used in totally different ways. It's one of those things where you just have to learn the patterns.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to break it down, make it super clear, and give you tons of examples so you can start using them with confidence.
Sounds like a plan. So, where should we start? The beginning seems like a good place.
The very beginning. Let's talk about the big boss, the main verb itself, to be.
All right, so be is what we call the infinitive form. It's the basic unchanged version of the verb. You often see it with to in front of it, like to be, or after other verbs like will or can.
Exactly. Like, I want to be an astronaut, or she will be here soon. In those sentences, be is in its simplest form.
Right, but the tricky thing about to be is that it changes a lot. It's an irregular verb, maybe the most irregular verb in English. It changes depending on the subject and the tense.
It really does. In the present tense, for example, be becomes am, is, or are. So you'd say, I am happy. He is a doctor, or they are late.
And in the past tense, it changes to was and were. I was tired yesterday. We were at the park. All of those, am, is, are, was, were, they're all forms of that one verb, be.
That's the foundation. You have to know those basic forms first. So just to recap, be is the infinitive, and it changes in simple present and simple past. Got it?
And that's a key point. The verb to be is special because it doesn't need a helping verb like do or does to form questions or negatives. We just invert the subject and verb. Got it. Okay, so if that's be, what about been? This is where I think the real confusion starts for people.
Okay, let's dive into been. So the most important rule to remember for been is that it's a past participle.
Past participle. That sounds technical.
It does, but don't worry. All it really means is that we use it with the perfect tenses. And the key thing to look for, the signal, is a helping verb right before it. Specifically, have, has, or had.
Okay, so you're saying you never just see been all by itself. It's always got a buddy, like have been or has been.
You got it. It's part of a team. Think of the present perfect tense. It talks about an experience in the past that's connected to the present. For instance, Noah, have you ever been to Japan?
I have been to Japan. I went a few years ago. It was amazing. See? I have been, not I was or I be. It's I have been because it's a life experience.
Perfect example. Or you could say, she has been a teacher for 10 years. The action started in the past, but she is still a teacher now. It connects the past to the present.
Okay, that makes sense. Have or has plus been. What about had been?
Right, so that's the past perfect. It's a little more complex, but the rule is the same. Been follows had. We use this when we're talking about two events in the past, and we want to show which one happened first.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. By the time I arrived at the party, my friends had already been there for an hour. So two past actions. I arrived and my friends were there. Which happened first?
Your friends being there happened first, so you use had been for the earlier action.
Precisely. So the big takeaway for been is look for its partner. If you see have, has, or had, then been is very likely the correct word to use. You would never say, I've been to Japan or she has be a teacher. It just sounds wrong.
Right, your ear starts to tell you it's wrong once you get the hang of it. So be is the basic form. Been is the past participle that hangs out with have, has, and had. Now for the last one, the one that ends in ing, being. All right, being. This one is also a bit of a multitasker. It has two main jobs. The first job, and maybe the most common one, is as part of the continuous tenses.
Continuous tenses. You mean for actions that are happening right now or were happening at a specific time?
That's the one. Just like been needs a partner, being usually needs a partner too in these tenses. And its partners are the forms of be we talked about earlier. Am, is, are, was, were.
Okay, so it's like a chain. For example, you wouldn't just say he being silly. You'd say he is being silly.
Yes, he is being silly means right now in this moment his behavior is silly, it's temporary. Or in the past, they were being too loud so I asked them to be quiet. It describes their behavior at that moment in the past.
That's a great point about it being temporary. If you say he is silly, that's part of his personality. But if you say he is being silly, it's about his actions right now.
Yeah, it's a subtle but important difference. Okay, so that's job number 1 for being, part of the continuous tenses. But it has a second job where it acts like a noun.
The gerund.
The gerund, fancy name, but the idea is simple. It's when we use the ing form of a verb as the subject or object of a sentence. For example, being a parent is a lot of work.
Right. In that sentence, being a parent is the subject. It's the thing that is a lot of work. Like saying parenthood is a lot of work. Being is acting like a noun.
Exactly. Or another one, I love being on vacation. Here, being on vacation is the object. It's the thing that I love. Same as saying I love vacations.
So to sum up being, it can show a continuous temporary action with a partner like is, are, was, were, or it can act as a noun at the beginning or end of a sentence.
You've nailed it. I think we've covered the main points. How about we do a quick review and then a little quiz for our listeners?
Love that idea. Let's do it.
Okay, quick fire review. Be, the basic infinitive form, used after to or modal verbs like will, can, should. I will be there.
Been, the past participle, its best friends are have, has, and had. It's used for perfect tenses. I have never been so tired.
Being, the present participle or gerund. Job number 1 for continuous actions with partners like is, are, was, were. You are being very helpful. Job number 2, acting like a noun. Being honest is important.
Great summary. Okay, listeners, are you ready? We're going to give you a sentence with a blank. Just think in your head which word fits. Be, been, or being. Ready, Noah?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay, sentence 1. Where have you blank all day?
That has to be been because you have the word have right before the blank. Where have you been all day?
Correct. Okay, number 2. Please stop blank so annoying.
Ooh, that's describing a temporary action. So please stop being so annoying.
Yes, you've got it. Last one. You must blank quiet in the library.
Okay, must is a modal verb, and after a modal verb, we need the basic infinitive form. So it's be. You must be quiet in the library.
Excellent. A+ for Noah and hopefully for all of you listening too.
Well, that about wraps it up for today. We hope this has cleared up some of the confusion around be, been, and being. Remember, the key is to look for the partner words and think about the job the word is doing in the sentence.
It really is. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. The more you read and listen to English, the more these patterns will start to feel natural.
Such a good point. Practice really does make perfect. Thanks for tuning in to the English Learning Podcast. We've loved being here with you.
Yes, thank you all. Join us next time when we'll be talking about common slang words you can use to sound more like a native speaker. You won't want to miss it.
Until then, keep learning and keep practicing. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.